Each Sunday, one of our caring companions is designated to be available at the front of the sanctuary after the service to listen to any immediate pastoral needs and assist you with connecting to additional pastoral support if you would like. Today's caring companion is Jennifer Lowland. Jenny? She is standing, so we can thank her, and folks can identify her after the service. As part of First UU July for Justice events, the senior luncheon on Wednesday, July 9th will feature Immigration 101 with an interactive presentation about paths to citizenship, common acronyms, constitutional rights, and the deportation machine with First UU friend Carol Jean Zavala, who interpreted for sanctuary guest Valeria when he took sanctuary, alongside other Austin Sanctuary Network leaders. Lunch will be from 12 to 1:30 p.m. in House and Hall and will include soup and salad for $5. You do not need to be a senior to attend. All are welcome. RSVP is not required. Each Sunday, we light candles in the sanctuary and along the windows to mark sacred moments in our lives. Although we do have a time set aside during the worship to note these candle lightings, you are invited to light candles at any time before or during the service when you feel moved to do so. Now, let all who have gathered in beloved community, whether in virtual space or in person, join our spirits in worship together.
Good morning. Whether you're joining us online or here in the sanctuary, welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin. We are a spiritual community dedicated to the free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and beauty. I'm AJ Juraska, a member of First UU and a seminarian, and I'm also the intern minister at Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm a 40-year-old non-binary person with short hair, and my pronouns are they, them. It is a joy to be with you today. I especially want to welcome you if you're new to the congregation. If you're joining us remotely, and if you can, please say hello in the comments and tell us from where you're joining. If you are here in person, please join us for the social hour after worship. Either way, we invite you to fill out the online visitor form at austinuu.org. Simply click on Worship, which will then show you a link to the form. We would love to get to know you better. As we work to create beloved community, we welcome all who would join us in building a better world with more love, more justice, and more peace. We welcome all who would join us in growing in heart, mind, and spirit. We welcome all who would join us in tearing down systems of oppression of all kinds. We welcome all who would join their purposes to ours in a loving spirit of right relationship. We come from a long tradition of seeing the spark of the divine in every person. It is in this tradition, a living tradition, that I invite you to greet the holy among us, either in the comments or by turning to those around you. Now, let us greet the holy that lives in each of us this morning.
Hello again. I'm Margaret Borden, your lay leader this morning. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a white woman in my 70s, average height, salt and pepper hair, and I'm wearing glasses and a white dress with colorful flowers on vines all over it. Please join me in the words by which we light our chalice. This is the flame we hold in our hearts as we strive for justice for everyone. This is the light we shine upon systems of oppression until they are no more. This is the warmth we share with one another as our struggle becomes our salvation. Our call to worship this morning is called This Faith by Heidi Cottam. Let us be a faith that gathers, reaching for one another through the walls of hate others build, through the cages of ignorance and arrogance, and through the fear that burns city streets. Let us be a faith that sees a vision of a better world, more compassionate, more just, more holy, and with more love. There is a faith that binds up the broken, cauterizes battle wounds with the balm of peace, sings longer and louder than the trumpets of war. Let us be that faith too. Let us be the ones who do not tread lightly in this world, but light it up with our love, who hold up the mirror of worth and dignity, who are the sanctuary others seek. But first, Let us be a faith that worships together. Here, this morning, in this space, at this moment, let us be a faith. Our opening hymn this morning is 361 in the gray hymnal. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Please rise in body and our spirit.
One of the things that binds First UU together as a religious community is that the congregation has a common purpose. For First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin, that common purpose is our mission. The congregation wrote it together and put it on the wall of the sanctuary. Every Sunday, church participants say it together so that we may more readily carry it with us in our hearts throughout the week. Let us say it together now. Together, we nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice to build the beloved community. And now we'll have our story for all ages.
It's time for our story for all ages, so if you are a person of any age, feel free to come on up to the stage if you want a closer look at the pictures. Hello. Good to see you all. All right. Howdy. Hello, hello. I am. All right. Anyone else who is joining us today? Hello, everyone. Howdy. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Oh. All right. So, our story this morning is called These Olive Trees. It's a Palestinian family's story by AJ Ghanameh. Every year, Mama harvests the olives right outside the refugee camp where Orabe and her family live. This year, as she prunes the olive grove under a sky of infinite blue-gray, Orabe wonders about the first person to ever taste the small oval fruit. She imagines them picking the olive and biting halfway down into its savory center. They must have waited years for the tree to produce even a single fruit. Did they like how it tasted? Orabe thinks they must have hated it. Olives don't always taste very good directly from the tree. They can be quite bitter at first. Or maybe, Orabe ponders, they were pleasantly surprised by its acidity. Orabe is always too impatient to go through the weeks-long process of curing and brining the fruit, the way her mama taught her. Too eager to taste the olives straight from the tree, she ends up disappointed by the bitter taste. But sometimes the olive surprises her, and she finds joy in the bitterness. After all, with work and patience, these bitter olives can be used to make so many things. In the refugee camp, they use the trimmings from the trees to light fires and to make ornaments and tools. They press the oil from the olives to cook and even to make soap. sometimes her life in the camp surprises her too, and she finds happiness in the sorrow around her. Mama passes the olives to Orabe, who always helps her family in the grove. It's odd that we're gathering the olives so soon, Orabe thinks to herself. It's not harvest season quite yet. Still, Orabe prepares herself to stomp, stomp, stomp on the olives as she always does, to remove their pits and pour their oozing liquid into pressed bags. But her mama stops her. We are not cleaning or crushing any olives today, says Mama, just packing them to go. Go? Mama nods. Go. Mama and the rest of their family used to live in a village called Al-Tira by the coast of Palestine. Generations of her family had tended the olive trees there too, for hundreds of years. But one day, before Orabe was even born, the war came. They carried what they could and walked for many days until they reached the other side of the country to escape it. But they couldn't save their olive trees. Since then, they have lived in a makeshift canvas house in the Balata refugee camp near the city of Nablus. Orabe and her younger brother and sister were born here. The camp is the only home she's ever known, and there are more olive trees here. Orabe and her mama walk back from the orchard, carrying the olives and tree trimmings. But within the camp, piles of blankets and boxes now line the rows of tents. Families frantically load trucks with bundles of wrapped canvas. Are we going on a trip? Orabe asks. Yes, dear. Mama's eyes look misty. The war has come to our doorstep again, even in Balata camp. The sky is gray and the earth is damp with the knowledge that the war has found its way to Nablus. Where are we going? Do we have to go? Orabe asks Mama. Mama pauses. I don't know where, but wherever we go, we have each other. But what about our house? What about the olive trees? We will have a new tent. As for the trees, says Mama, we can't save them. Mama follows Orabe's siblings into the tent, helping the rest of the family gather their belongings. Alone outside, Orabe looks at the olive pits lying around her tent, the pits they had prepared to be planted in the fall. We can, she decides. I will borrow an olive and plant its seed. She is sure the earth would not mind. She looks to the sky. May I borrow your rain? She is sure the clouds would not mind either, for it may be the last time she sees the sky above her home for a while. After all, someone needs to look after the land, so their olive trees live on. Gently, she plants a pit. Although olive trees take a long, long time to grow, and even longer to produce olives, Orabe decides that for once, she will be patient. Wait for me. One day, when we're older, I'll return to you for harvest. Thank you so much for sharing that story with me. Let's head on back. I've got some watercolors.
This is the time during the service when we commit to the mission and ministries of this church by making an offering. We give out of our own so that together we might build a better world. If you are visiting with us today, please allow the plate to pass. You are our guests. You can give in a few different ways by going to austinuu.org and clicking on the link on the top right side of the page. You can text it, but the number is recently changed from 5 digits to 10. I'll read them out, but they're on the back of the pew in front of you. You can text your contributions to 855-304-0138, or by placing an offering in the basket the ushers are about to pass. Here in the sanctuary, the ushers will now collect our offering. Your offerings have been given in love and received with gratitude.
This is the time in our service when we center ourselves together. We breathe together. And breathing together, we sense one another's loving presence. Breathing in and breathing out, we follow our breath to a deeper place inside, a place of greater wisdom, a place where a spark of the divine resides within each of us. Breathing in and breathing out, we notice any tension we're carrying in our bodies, and we breathe into that tension, seeing if it might release just a little bit. Continuing to breathe, we also notice any areas in our body that carry ease, that feel good. And we breathe into those areas of ease. And maybe we notice that ease spreading just a little bit. Breathing together, we enter into a time of sacred silence all the while remembering that nowhere in the world is fully silent, and human noises are a part of our sacred silence. I invite you now to light a candle if you are so moved. Candles representing sorrow, joy, hope, remembrance, resilience, whatever it is you need to honor during this time. As we light candles, I invite you to keep in your mind and heart members of our community who are ill or in sorrow, and those who are celebrating joys. Let us hold the silence together throughout this meditative time. And now we light one last candle for all those for whom there is no one to light a candle.
Our reading today is I Side with the People by Reverend Drew Patton from the First Presbyterian Church of Berkeley. If ever they ask you, which side are you on? Tell them plainly, I side with the people. With the precious ones, all, the integral, the soft and the fierce, irreplaceable, the beloved, if only by God and trees who were born, who breathe and survive. Say I side with those who keep watch beneath the bright screaming arc of bombs, with those who hide in dark doorways or who through the moonlight flee, with those who stay and fight, and with those kept up all night by hunger and grief and terror and rage, by desperate, unruly hope, who are good and green at the root, who are more than the worst that they've done, who do their best to love and still pass on the hurt in themselves that they hate. But what about when they take sides against each other? The people, against even themselves. Side with whatever is human in them, what is fragile and feeling and flesh. Side with the truth of our stories. Side with the fact of our pain. Side with defiant insistence on freedom. Side there again and again. Side there today and tomorrow. Side there the rest of your life. Side there together until we belong each one to every other. If ever they ask you, which side are you on? Say, it doesn't work like that. Tell them you side with the people and abide where the people are at.
I don't know about you, but I learned not to talk about politics and religion at the dinner table. Israel and Palestine is high on that list of things we learn not to talk about. In middle school, I did learn about the Holocaust in social studies. I had a wonderful teacher who was himself Jewish, and one of the things he taught us was how easy it is to create the conditions that happened in Germany leading up to the Holocaust. How easy it is to be on the side of oppression. I took a class in college on genocide, and that professor pointed out how easy it is to fall in line when someone asks you to do something or not to do something. We're trained to be people pleasers. We don't like going against the grain. In other words, I learned at a young age how any of us could fall prey to compromising our values and ultimately harming others. It's one of the reasons why I've tried to speak out when I see injustice. I refuse to be completely subsumed by systems of oppression like patriarchy, white supremacy, heteronormativity, ableism, and so on. Because even when it's difficult, we must stick to our UU values. I learned about Judaism growing up and a bit about Islam, but I didn't learn much about Israel and Palestine. My earliest memory of anything to do with Palestine was when I was with some Jewish friends and we saw a group of people protesting for Palestine. My friends reacted with disgust. I didn't know what to make of it because it was my first experience even learning about Palestine. I didn't think much about it until a college class was offered on Israel and Palestine, and it piqued my curiosity. It wasn't until that class that I learned a perspective from the Palestinian people. I learned about the Nakba, which happened in 1948 and was the forcible expulsion of Palestinians from their land. 750,000 people were violently forced from their homes. It was in hearing a balanced history, one that included both Israeli and Palestinian perspectives, that I became more concerned about the conflict. But for a long time, I didn't know what I could do, so I did nothing. When the topic came up, I occasionally shared my perspective, but I typically was not the one to initiate conversation. To be honest, it wasn't until October 7th that I started to think more about how I could personally do something. As soon as I heard about the attacks on Israelis, I felt terrible for those who were hurt, killed, and taken hostage, and for all Israelis and Jews who felt the impact of that attack, whether they were directly affected or not. But I also knew that this could mean devastating things for the Palestinians in Gaza, and I feared for what was to come. I started to learn more about the Unitarian Universalists for Justice in the Middle East, or UUJME, which has a mission that states that the work that they do to, quote, counter inequality and injustice in Palestine, Israel. UUJME has practical ways for people to get involved, some of which we'll talk about later, and I started learning more from people locally and nationally about how I could help make a difference. Because even when it's difficult, we stick to our UU values. I know we all come here today with different information, so I'm going to share a little bit of background. Let's start with who we are as UUs, because we have a long history of taking a stance, even when it is difficult. During World War II, the Unitarian Service Committee was committed to humanitarian efforts to help those escaping Nazi Germany. Martha and Waitstill Sharp started the Unitarian Service Committee in mid-1940, well over a year before the U.S. entered the war. They did this difficult and dangerous thing because it was the right thing to do. During the civil rights movement, when many white people were unwilling to participate or even speak out, many UUs got involved, putting their lives on the line because it was the right thing to do. Because even when it is difficult, we stick to our UU values. There's not enough time today for a long history lesson, but what is important to know is that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has its roots in white supremacy, including anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. World powers like Great Britain and the US actively fueled this conflict from the beginning. These world powers supported Zionist efforts to establish a state in Israel because they did not want to have to accept refugees, Jewish refugees, in their own countries, a not so thinly veiled form of anti-Semitism. But let's not lose focus on today, because depending on the source, anywhere from an average of 100 to 250 Palestinians are killed every day in Gaza, and that's been happening since October 7th. And the violence is not limited to Gaza. In addition to the 2.1 million Palestinians living in Gaza, which is approximately the geographic size of Austin, there are around 3.3 million Palestinians living in the West Bank. I'm going to use the word apartheid today to describe what is happening to Palestinians, and I'm going to use that word because it means segregation plus violence. There's a legal definition of apartheid, and it essentially boils down to segregation plus violence, which is an accurate description of what is happening on the ground. For example, in the West Bank, roads are segregated into those that Palestinians can drive on and those that Israelis can use. Schools are segregated. Israelis have access to clean water while Palestinians are collecting water on their roofs. Garbage collection is segregated, with East Jerusalem having no or inadequate trash collection as compared to other parts of Jerusalem. And East Jerusalem is 61% Palestinian compared to other areas that are predominantly Israeli. And beyond the segregation, there is also violence against Palestinians whose livelihoods, homes, and lands are regularly attacked. Bulldozers knock down houses of Palestinians who are still living in those houses. Livestock are stolen. People are disappeared. Settler colonialism is another term to describe what the Israeli government is doing in Palestinian territories, and it's not new. In fact, we Americans know it well. It's what happened when Europeans came to Turtle Island, saw land that they wanted, and took it, without regard to the fact that people were living here already. The Zionist plan has been settler colonialism because the earth was already pretty well populated when they set about creating a Jewish state. It's one of the reasons why people like Albert Einstein were for Jews to move to Israel, but were against the creation of the Jewish state. Einstein and others knew that there were indigenous people living there already, people we call Palestinians. Even as I say this, I feel fear, because I know that I may be criticized or told that what I'm saying is exaggerations, even as I know that I stand on firm ground as to the truth of what I am saying. And using words like apartheid, violence, and settler colonialism is scary, in part because we know people have been targeted for using such words. So what does it mean if we don't talk about this issue? Does our silence make it go away? How do we support Jews from being free from persecution while at the same time advocating for Palestinians to have their human rights respected? How do we hold that by using words like genocide and settler colonialism to describe what the Israeli government is doing in Gaza and the West Bank, some would claim anti-Semitism? Is it better to be perceived as good for not speaking out, or would we rather stick to our principles and speak out for those who are most marginalized? I would suggest that when dealing with complicated questions such as these, we must turn to our values for answers. Because even when it is difficult, we stick to our UU values. So what do our UU values say? Well, at our center of all of our values is love. We can love all our Jewish and Palestinian neighbors. It's not a zero-sum game where we can only love certain people. Love exists in abundance. As Adam Serwer wrote for The Atlantic, it's not anti-Semitic to want equal rights for all in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, in Gaza, and in Ramallah. Love means we see people's worthiness and dignity. We see everyone's right to live safely with ready access to food, water, healthcare, and other things they need to survive and thrive. Love also means that being anti-genocide is not the same as being anti-Semitic. Love calls us to speak out against genocide and hold our Jewish siblings in love at the same time. Our next value is justice, which says, quote, "We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive." Where all thrive. We want Jews, Muslims, Christians, atheists, Israelis, and Palestinians to thrive. What is happening right now is not thriving for anyone involved, and it is not just. Equity says, quote, "We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion." People are surviving despite the blockade on water and food, but it is hard to flourish under those circumstances. Apartheid is dehumanizing. We can hold people in compassion and take action to make the world a more equitable place, including when it comes to Palestine. We'll talk about how to do that in a moment. Our next value is pluralism. We honor both Jewish and Muslim people and Judaism and Islam as religions. Apartheid breaks pluralism down. Apartheid inherently separates. We remember that there are Christian Palestinians and that no group is a monolith. We also remember that there are a plurality of viewpoints among Jews, including both Zionist and anti-Zionist beliefs. But Zionism has taken a hold in America, in part because of Christian Zionism, which says that Jews must go back to Israel in order for Jesus to come back. In other words, Christian Zionists see Jews as pawns in their work to ensure that Jesus comes back. Not to put too fine a point on this, but Christian Zionists believe that Jews have to die for the second coming to happen, and then they believe Jews would go to hell. It sounds pretty anti-Semitic to me. Christian Zionism is also a component of Christian nationalism. So the Zionism that we are seeing from Christians is tied to the efforts we're seeing to get 10 Commandments in the classrooms and to couple church and state together. Our next value is interdependence. We remember that we are interdependent with what happens around the world. Suffering continues whether we pay attention or not. The genocide in Palestine is on our hands, whether we like it or not. Also, if anyone else in the audience needs another reason to care, genocide is ecocide. The land in Gaza is being destroyed. Additionally, the carbon released by the bombs is accelerating the climate crisis. And last but not least, we get to our value of generosity. This says we cultivate a spiritude of gratitude and hope. Let's start with gratitude. For those of us in the room who have been doing this work a little longer, please have patience with and gratitude for those who are just now joining us. Hold space for those who are struggling with harmful beliefs, and remember that you too may have once struggled. Generosity talks about both gratitude and hope. Just because what is happening in Palestine feels intractable doesn't mean we lose hope. There are ways to help. So let's talk about what some of those things are. Because even when it's difficult, we stick to our UU values. To learn more about the actions I'll be sharing, we will have a table of information outside Housen Hall after the service. And I encourage you to take at least one of the following actions. First, pay attention to what fuels the military actions and boycott those groups. There's a group called Austin Against Apartheid that has a website that is austinapartheid.com/boycott, but you don't have to scramble to write that down because you can get more information about Austin Against Apartheid after the service outside Housen. Their website will give more information about what products to boycott, including Chevron, Texaco, Coca-Cola, SodaStream, McDonald's, and more. You can also sign on as an individual to commit to being apartheid-free. And while individual actions are good, organizations boycotting is even more impactful. Consider helping us explore whether First UU could join 234 other faith-based communities around the country in becoming an apartheid-free zone. This would mean that First UU would commit to not supporting the businesses named in the boycott. Consider whether your business or organization might become apartheid-free as well. Talk to Reverend Carrie or I if you want to get more involved in what is happening at the church, or sign up at the table outside Housen. Pay attention to what is happening. Read diverse sources of news and not just American news sources, which often soften what is really happening. Follow our own Unitarian Universalists for Justice in the Middle East, also known as UUJME, for more information. The easiest way to find them is on Facebook or at uujme.org. Contact your congressional representative to express your concern about the genocide and ask that the U.S. stop sending military aid that fuels the conflict. Call on the U.S. to play a larger role in stopping the conflict. Speak out about your concern about the blockade of all food and water aid, which has been going on since March 2nd and is leaving Palestinians in Gaza on the brink of famine. Donate. Donate to American Near East Refugee Aid or the United Nations Relief and Works Agency or other charities to help get aid to Gaza. Because even when it is difficult, we stick to our UU values. We learned the wrong lesson, if never again, after World War II was limited to certain groups. And we do a disservice to our UU values if we stay silent or do nothing out of fear. If we want to lead on social justice, this is how we do it, even when it is unpopular and we fear retribution. It becomes safer when we do it together. The more people who speak out, the safer it is, especially for the people most impacted, like immigrants, college students, Palestinians, and so on. What would it look like if we all told the military-industrial complex involved in this genocide, enough is enough? No more killing, no more land grabs, no more apartheid. Many who were involved in ending the system of apartheid in South Africa thought it was going to take much longer than it did. Even when it felt impossible, change was happening, and enough change made a difference. So let's imagine a world with peace, even when peace seems impossible. It won't be possible unless we try. Because even when it is difficult, we stick to our UU values. Now please rise, embody your spirit, and let us sing together hymn number 170 in the gray hymnal, We Are a Gentle, Angry People.
Please join me in the words by which we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
May we see a vision of a better world. May we side with the people. May we stick to our UU values. And together, may we build the beloved community. Amen, and blessed be.